1/4 ounce jig, 7'2" medium heavy, 20-pound test. And I get people asking me all the time, why do I use 20-pound test? Okay, I'm not going to be catching bass that are 20 pounds. I'm in Michigan. It's where I'm fishing. Rocks, timber, trees, cover, structure, deep lakes, shallow lakes, sticks, twigs, you name it. And the 20-pound test that I use is the same diameter as other companies' 15 and 17. It's Sunline. You know, I don't always get the best hook set on a jig, but when I do, like sometimes, okay, like, and I've even included it in videos, sometimes I'll set the hook too early. Oh, I missed one. Or sometimes I'll wait too long. I don't always get that perfect hook set, but when you get a hook set like that and a good jig bite, I mean, it's awesome. And, you know, I know a lot of people, myself included, who have had problems with jigs over the years. And I'm talking years ago, leading up until the past 4. What they do is they throw it, they get weeds on it, blah, blah, blah. They don't like it. Well, try a finesse jig. Try a 1/4 ounce. Try a 5/16, so 3/8 jig. Cast it out there and dead stick it. Look, I'm not even doing nothing. I will literally, you're using fluorocarbon. And when some people use fluorocarbon and braid, like they want to like move it too much. And I'm guilty of that. Look, just hold it there. If you feel weed, drag it through. If you cannot get off the weed, this is an example, pop it. Usually when you bring it through weeds is when you'll catch a fish. Not always, but it's when you bring it through weeds or like on the fall. I'm not gonna flip him. That's why I fish a jig. See that? Hooked so right. Ooh, that's another 3-pounder. It's gotta be. It's gotta be another 2.5 for 3. I'm just kind of sitting here fishing. I got my stuff all messed up. Let's move my crankbait rod. See that, like, okay, I'm gonna try and catch some fish, you know, like I always try to do, but what I want to tell you guys is that is why I drag jigs, tubes, and Texas rigs slow. You don't always catch a lot of fish, but when you do, it's usually a big one or a bigger one. This isn't a super big one. This isn't a giant. I'm in Michigan, but it's still a nice fish. We got 0 pounds, 0 ounces on the scale. I love that hook set. See what I mean about what I told you about that 20-pound? That was 20-pound test. And you see how hard he fought? You got 2 pounds, 15 ounces. Nope, 3 pounds, 1 ounce. Yep, 215, 30, 31. Amazing fish. Even if it's only one fish, maybe I can just make a video and tell you about why I like to throw jigs. What else? Why do I set the hook so hard with the jig? Why do I, and I'll swing it like crazy? Hold on. I'm gonna have to describe this a certain way. See if I can't maybe get a bite here. Okay, I'll just reel it in when I shouldn't have. So I understand that there's people that say you don't need a hard hook set. You just need to lift the rod or do like a reel set with a drop shot, okay? Which is true. But do you see the profile of a jig? And yes, I'm going back through this again on purpose. The bigger the jig you go, the bigger the profile is. The bigger the crawfish or bluegill it is that you're trying to imitate. when you get that thump or tick, 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 or tick, run, and you set that hook hard, you're not only trying to make sure that fish is hooked, you're trying to ensure that the fish has the bait. That's why sometimes you'll see on one hook that I miss them, on the next one, I don't miss the fish and I get them. That's because it's all in how they bite it, the fish telling you what they want, and how your hand-eye coordination and reaction time is, okay? Jig fishing tips from the bank, featuring 1 3-pounder. Here's something I'm gonna have to show you guys too. Like you always hear people talk about the skirt undulating. You hear people talk about the skirt opening on a jig. You hear people talk about the claws and what it does. I'm gonna have to pick a little spot here and show you guys exactly what I mean. And I think I might have a good spot right here. See that? See that? That's what your jig is doing in the bottom. It doesn't always fall over, but you know what I'm trying to say. Cast it out there. I didn't cast it as hard as I could or whatever. I just kind of let it go. I need to get a better footing here and maybe get up a tad bit higher. There we go. That's why I like a boat, a bass boat. That's why I like certain areas of the bank, because you can get up, get yourself leverage, a better hook set, a better cast. I mean, I do a lot of bank fishing, but I'm just telling you guys as I go. You can use braid, you can use fluorocarbon, but fluorocarbon, you're gonna feel a bite on a slack line. Braid, you're not always gonna feel a bite on a slack line. They're both great. I'm not talking bad about one or the other, but try fluorocarbon. See what I'm talking about? Missed a bite right there. I got all excited, and yeah, there's a fine line how you want to set that hook. You don't want to wait forever, but you don't want to just like I just did. And I mean, I kind of had to include that into the tip video, and yes, I just had a loop knot in the spool that came out. So maybe one fish or two, that'll be an all right video. I hope you guys can get something out of this though. Like I know firsthand how it is to struggle with the jig. So another thing that I will do is I will take the jig off that I'm using and I will put on a different one. You'll see that the sun's kind of trying to come out. The water's pretty clear for where I'm at anyway. I mean, it's not the clearest, but what I'm gonna do, which one is it? There, yeah, I think it's that one. Throw a green pumpkin jig. Why does it matter? They're all the same. Throw a green pumpkin jig, sun comes out. Now, if it's stained or dark, or it's really overcast and it appears to be darker than what it is, then I'll go to black and blue. I mean, but really, like I've said before, green pumpkin, black and blue, bluegill, and the PB&J or cowboy craw, that's basically it. See that? You see how natural that looks and how that blends in with that water? I mean, I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, oh, it's clear water. This isn't clear water compared to some of the water I've been on, but see how it blends with that green? Green pumpkin is amazing. Well, so is black and blue, so is cowboy craw. I bet you if I threw a black and blue right now, it would work. Sometimes it's not about the color, sometimes it's about the presentation. Did you see where that landed? That was actually a really far cast. It's with a Corrado K, and it's, like I said, yep, 20-pound test fluorocarbon. Now, that's not as far of a cast as you're gonna get with braid, but let me show you something, okay? And remember, like I told you, if the piece of the reel right here, when you undo it, if it's connected to it by like a spring, that's an escape hatch. If you can take it off, that's a removable side plate. You see that? That is all 4 brakes on. Adjust your brakes by the weight of the bait and what line you're using, and you will get better results. And that goes for anything, not just a jig.